Hello viewers, I'm Alok and today we are going to see how we can create a service principal to log in Azure. For that the minimum requirement is you should have a Azure CLI, so which we call it a AZ CLI. If I do AZ -L, it is installed in my machine, so I can see all the commands of AZ listed here. To install that, you can just go to Google and have Azure CLI install, and dependent on your operating system you can follow the guide and install. Okay, so to log into Azure, firstly there are various ways to log in. First is AZ login. If we try to see what are the various ways to log in, by default is the interactive way, which will take us to the browser, and a user account should be selected and then we can log in using that user account. We are focused on how can we log in using a service principal, and then if we try to log in using a service principal, there are various ways we can log in using a service principal: by providing a certificate, by providing a password, but there are few common things to be provided. One is a tenant ID, and second is mostly in -u we provide the application ID or the client ID we call it. Okay, so let's go step by step. If I want to quickly create a service principal, then through UI we can do that by creating the app registration. I'm here in the dashboard. If you click here, you will see Microsoft Entra ID, which is Azure AAD. Okay, here if we go to the app registrations, here I don't have any of the app right now. If I go and create a new app, I'll just specify the name app01, and I'll just keep it right now for a single tenant for the scope of this video, and I'll try to register it. Once I register, I can find few details like the client ID and the tenant ID already present here. Okay, as we saw, we needed a client ID here and we needed a tenant ID here. What is missing is the secret. To create a secret of this, in the essentials we need to go into the client secret. Here we can either add a certificate or a secret. I'll just for now create a secret. I'll say secret 1, and the scope of the secret is 180 days, and I'll try to add. This is one time that I'm getting this value, which is the password. I'll just copy this password because I won't get it again, and I'll paste this password here. So now if I want to log in, the command is this. If I paste it here, I have my service principal application. This is my app 001. I have my client ID. I've copied and pasted. My password is this, and my tenant is from here, the directory, the tenant ID. Okay, and this one I just paste it here. And if I try to log in right now, I'll get some challenges, that is no subscription found for this particular app ID. The reason is we have just created a application registration, but we haven't given any of the RBAC, any of the authorization. We need to provide some kind of scope to access to this particular application. For that, right now I'll just go and provide the scope on the subscription level. and hence if I wish to have the scope on the subscription level, I'll go to the subscription level access control. I'll try to add a role assignment. A role assignment, the simplest role assignment can be a contributor, but we should be precise what particular role we are trying to give. For the scope of this video, I'm just keeping it simple. Contributor access I'll be giving. To whom I need to give? I need to give it to a service principal that we have already created. I'll select the service principal. The name of the application is app01. I'll select this application, review, assign. You see, I'm giving a role of contributor. Yes, I'm giving a right role in the scope of the entire subscription so that it can access to all the resources present in my subscription, to whom I'm giving it to the application. So let's assign it. It won't take much long once it is assigned. Now if I go to login again, I should expect I'm able to log in that. Okay, this is the shortest approach to create app registration from the UI and provide the RBAC to it and create secret or a password for that particular app registration. Let's do the same, but now completely using the commands. Okay, this is the Microsoft documentation AZ app. Okay, if I just do AD app create, let's see what do we have in the help. To create an application, we just need a display name. Okay, we just need a display name, and let's give the display name app02. This is the second approach that we are going to do, and we will test it with the application with the name app02. Okay, insufficient privileges. Why insufficient privileges? Because right now I just logged in using the service principal or the application that I've just logged in, which doesn't have privilege to create another app registration. So what I need to do is I need to log out, and I need to again log in using my owner access, that is the user access. For that I'll just do AZ login, and I'll use the default approach where it will redirect me to a browser. I'll select the account which is the owner account. So here if I see, no, I cannot. Okay, but I'm the owner of this account, so now I have all the privileges. If I do create display name app02, I wish to create the app registration just the way we went here in the Microsoft Entra ID app registrations. And if you see here, there is only one app we just created. Now I wish to create another application, app02. This time we should not have any of the issues with the authorization. You see, we have created the application. If we go and refresh here in the UI, not so long, but I should be able to see the app02 over here. Let it reload. Okay, till the time I can also try to list it here, app list -o table. Let me see if I can list it here. I see there are two applications now, app01 which we created from the UI and app02 just now we created from the terminal. Okay, so here we have app02. So the basic differences now here from app01 and app02 is, here you see the certificate and secret, it is present but not present in app02. Okay, so the first difference is, yes, we don't have a certificate or secret. The second difference is we don't even have a service principal attached to this app registration. So to attach a service principal, let's go to the CLI. Here AZ ADSP create, AZ ADSP create to the ID of the application. Application is this ID. So what I'm trying to do is create a service principal to the app which is having the ID which we got from the app list. Okay, if I try to create the service principal, I see a service principal is created already. If I go and refresh here, yeah, please reload. Okay, if I refresh here, now I can see, okay, I guess it is not, okay, it is yet to refresh. It is already working with the ID. It just takes time. Okay, this is working, and with app02 is the service principal which is created. Okay, it has application ID. Application ID is nothing but the client ID of the registered app, and the object ID is the instance ID of which will work in this particular tenant. Okay, so I'll keep it aside. This is my object ID. Okay, so what did we achieve is to create registered application and also create the service principal to it. Now we need to create the credentials, or we should have a password to log in. Let's try doing that. First, let's see this exact status, that there is no password present to this app credential list. Now this is good. App credential list ID, and the ID that I'll give is the application ID. Okay, AZ app credential list. Do we have any credentials associated with this particular registered app? So there is no credentials right now. So let's see if we can create the credentials. Create reset is the option. So instead of create, it should be reset, and then minus minus ID. ID will again be the same. I'll be giving the app ID. This is my app ID. Reset. Okay, now I can see I got the app ID, password, and the tenant ID. So this one I'll keep. This is for my app02. These are my access credentials. Okay, if I go try AZ login, uh, with this I do have now details of app02. If I have the app ID of app02, the password of app02, and the tenant ID, which is common for all the application in a single tenant. Okay, this we can run, but let's first see what is the status in the UI. Okay, I see one secret, and that secret is start from XOF, and exactly this is the secret that we got now. Okay, so what is expected now? We already know creation of a application, getting the password does not suffice unless and until we give some kind of RBAC permissions to this service principal. Is a login. You see, no subscription found for this particular app. That is expected because we already saw this when we were trying it from the UI approach. List the credentials that we were trying to validate. First there was no credentials, but now I can see there are credentials because we created those. Okay, how to set up the RBAC for this particular service account. To assign a role, the command is this, that is AZ role assign create. We need to provide the assignee. The assignee is nothing but the app ID or the client ID of the registered app. The role is contributor. We need to see from where this role came, and the scope. What is the scope? If I want to provide the access to this particular app on the subscription label as a contributor, then I'll provide the subscription ID over here. But let's see now from where we can get this ID from the commands. Okay, so first I need the assignee ID. Assignee ID we already have, but if we want one more time, we can extract it. And AZ AD app list minus O table. This will give me the app ID. So I'll use the app ID in the assignee. Okay, so this is my app ID, copy, and I'll just paste it here. Now I need to understand how many roles do I have. So for that we will go here. These are the built-in roles. It's a big list provided by Microsoft. The usual ones are contributor, owner. Owner is having the full access, contributor is having almost all the access, but it cannot assign, it cannot create another owner. So that's the biggest difference. A reader, it will be able to read all the resources but will not be able to do any of the changes or the modifications. So these are the roles that we have. How can we get this particular role list using the Azure CLI? Let's see. AZ role definition list. I'm trying to get only the name and role type and the ID in TSV format. I don't wish to grep right now. So these are the built-in roles already provided by Microsoft. It's a big list. That's why we can filter it out with what we know, kind of grip and contributor. So there are various contributor roles as well: lab contributor, monitor contributor, Kubernetes, Azure front. There are many contributor roles, but what we are right now providing is a generic contributor role, contributor to any of the resources. Okay, and the subscription ID is the third parameter. Let's see the subscription ID that we have. We can go directly to the subscription to get that ID. This is my subscription ID, which I'll just replace in here. Okay, so copy and paste. What I'm doing, I'm creating a role so that I'll be able to log in as a contributor using this particular app registration. Scope argument will be created, the role assignment, breaking changes. Okay, I see the RBAC role is added to the app. How to validate that it is added? We can go to the subscription. We can go to IAM. We can go to role assignments. I can see app01, app02 both have contributor role. So this is how you can validate that the command that you wrote is working perfectly. So next, let's try to log in again, because now we have secret attached application, and now we have the app role as well. So if I go app002, I have a secret, I have a service principal attached to it, and also now I have the RBAC role as contributor to it. So now let's try logging in using app02. So yeah, I'm able to log in. So this is how we can log in using the service principal. So all these steps that we did were to understand what exactly Microsoft is doing when it is trying to log in using another approach, which is almost doing the same things that we did, but in a single command. The command to do all these steps that we did, that is creation of the app registration, resetting the credentials, adding the service principal, and adding the RBAC. All these 4 steps can be done using just by one different command, that is AZADSP service principal, create for RBAC, provide the RBAC rule that we want to do, provide the scope. The scope is nothing but the subscription slash exactly same subscription ID that we have given here, and the name of the application. Up till now we have app0102. Now with this command we'll create a third registered application with the name of app003. Okay, so now definitely I won't be able to create another because I've just logged in using app02. So I first need to do log out and log in, go to the browser, and from there I can select my owner account. Okay, and now if I try hitting this command to register the application and provide the scope as well, RBAC is also there as a contributor, it is there. Yeah, just one command and you are good to go. But to understand what this particular command is doing, you need to first go through all the steps that we did previously to have all the in-depth understanding of what Microsoft is doing in one command. Okay, so here we got again the same details. We have app ID, we have password, and we have the tenant ID. These are the only three things that are required, and now we don't need to go again and do all the manual RBAC changes or anything. Nothing has to do. We can directly use the AZ command and replace the credentials, the app ID, we have the password, and we have the tenant is same for sure. It's not different. If I do it using the service principal login, you see I'm able to log in, which is way simpler than all the steps that we did previously. But to understand what this particular single command is doing, it is better you understand all the in-depth commands that Microsoft is doing and where you need to validate things. Let's go and check what it did in all to create this app 3. If I go to Microsoft Entra, application registration, my all applications, I see app 003. This was my first command to create the application. My second command was to create the secret. Here the secret is already created. Start with sy1, start with sy1. Yes, this is exactly the secret that we got in the overview. I see service principal is already attached here, and the RBAC, how can you validate the RBAC, whether the contributor role is already attached on the subscription level. You can just go to the subscription IAM and the role assignments. Here now should see all the three apps which are listed here, so it is also added as a contributor. So these are various ways we can log in using the service principal. I've shown you the UI approach, the longer approach where you understand in depth what exactly Microsoft is doing, and a shortest approach using a single command. So this is what I wanted to show you today in this particular video. This video is part of 2 video series. In the second video I'll try to show you how to log in using the other credential approaches like the certificate, AZ login, help, and you see here there is a certificate, and the certificate we can push to the key vault in Azure, and how do we retrieve it and how do we log in through it. So that we'll see in the next part of this video series. Till then, have a good day. See ya. Bye.